righty, guys. What, are you mocking me?
A little bit. It was a little bit of a.
All right. So we are back for this week talking about Tennessee, North Carolina, a little bit in Florida. We're going to start, though, with the girls in Georgia. Oh, we're going to talk about Mississippi, too. But we're going to start with the girls in Georgia because they had their state duels this past weekend. It was loud and raucous. How much do you love those situations? What is that? What is 6?
6 of 8. All of y'all eat crow. I don't care. Last year I went 3 of 8, so I gotta kind of get my stuff off here. But man,
dude, a blind squirrel could go better than 3 of 8.
Yeah, I know. Last year was horrible. But nah, man. I mean, those are the most, in my opinion, those are the most fun environments to wrestle in. And for the girls at Carrollton that ended up winning the thing, I said it going into the week, and whether people thought it was hyperbolic or not, I said the Carrollton girls wrestling in their backyard was going to make a difference. And if you weren't there, cheerleaders, mascots, the lights went gold for Carrollton. Like, it was an amazing environment. The girls do it right. I said it once, I'll say it again. The girls' division was the most fun classification the entire year for me. It was for sure the deepest.
Well, it was definitely the most exciting because there was a lot of uncertainty. Although, let's be fair. Let's go back to Camden Buford, man. That came down to the last match. And, South Effingham and Glenn came down to, criteria and all those things. But you're right. It was exciting to watch. It really was.
Absolutely. The thing that to me makes it the most fun, when you want to talk about how good a classification is, I want to, for a split second, let's really look at this for a second. You had your champions, Carrollton. They were the 2 seed. Greenbrier was the 1. Your third place team was the 11 seed in Gainesville, who went on this miraculous run, knocking off Houston, Chestatee, Jordan, that at one point we had as the 5th best team in the entire Southeast, and then defeating Gilmer to get 3rd and 4th. There were great teams that, like Woodward Academy, didn't even get to day 2. They get knocked off by Chestatee on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most fun, maybe not the best, but in my opinion, the most fun.
No, I agree with that. And, the thing, and I'll tell you what, one of the reasons it's the most fun, and I was saying this before, and this is not a knock on women's wrestling, but the truth is it's, you've got some elite girls, and then the distance between them and everyone else is more significant than it is on the boys' side.
For sure.
And
because women's wrestling still is in its infancy.
Right. But what you get with that is you get a lot of pins and you get a lot of swings and momentum and swings and matches. And it's just one of those situations where you're like, holy cow, this person's winning. Oh no, they're on their back. Oh, what's gonna happen? I mean,
we saw that in every duel of the weekend, and in the finals. You had Carrollton and Greenbrier, which I think you and I could agree, those are the 2 best teams the entire season, from wire to wire. Whether you had it Greenbrier, Carrollton, those are the 2 best teams. You want to talk about performances for a second. Gabby Carnes bumps up and gets a pin. Jordan Epstein for Greenbrier went out and did her thing. The Moore sisters, both of them, I've coached them. I also coached Esperanza Hurtson, who Bella went out and took care of business, getting herself a major decision. Then Bailey Moore, senior, in her final state duels, she goes out and sticks Ryan Lewis, who is a stud in her own right. But to me, final match of the duel, who steps up to play for Carrollton? Freshman Sierra Lopes gets the job done with the pin to secure the back-to-back titles for Carrollton. It was a hell of an atmosphere. UWG is a great place to host a dual tournament.
Yeah, the venue
GHSA and Doncor. GHSA, well done. 2 huge thumbs up from me.
Yeah,
Fair
well,
play.
you know what? It was a great it is a great venue, right? It was super exciting. It was the boys came out to support their teammates, which I mean, I'll tell you what, the Gainesville crew was there supporting theirs. The Carrollton crew with the mascot and everything else. The Sebastian with and his teammates with the body painting, everything else. It was certainly a fun
Everybody
environment.
rolled deep. Lumpkin rolled deep with their crew. Gainesville, like you said.
Gilmer
had their. I'm convinced every human that lives in Gilmer County was there that weekend. Carrollton, of course, rolled like you'd never believe. And you want to talk about Gainesville for a second. That whole team, rallied around. And, for a girl like Litzy Soto, she has put so much time into that team with everything that went down with her move there in the first place. And then the team, they're rallying around. They go on this hell of a run. Shout out to the Red Elephants, man.
No, they wrestled. Yeah, they wrestled great.
It.
Yeah, definitely. You got the chance to talk to Coach Newton.
Yeah.
What did he tell you?
I mean, being media trained, I had to ask him certain questions. You really think about it. They knocked off Greenbrier, Jordan, Gilm. They beat every team that placed there in the weekend.
Number 2, number 3, and number 4.
Number 4. They beat all of them. So there is no question about, in a dual setting, they proved themselves to be the best team. He also mentioned the great performances that his lineup had, even in some of the girls that went out and just had to fight and do everything in their power to just slow the momentum down. Because like you said, in girls, lots of pins back to back, it can be a tumbleweed that is never going to stop going in the wind. But some girls for Carrollton just did their job. And it was a ruckus atmosphere. It was fantastic. It was incredible to go. That's for sure going to be a redo trip for me, for sure. Gotta be.
Yeah, no, that was it was a blast. So congratulations to Carrollton. Congratulations to all of them. Now they transition. And what kind of stood out to me as I was doing interviews with different coaches from around the different states was particularly, I think, in Georgia. I don't think it happened in Florida. It didn't happen in Florida. I don't think it happened in Alabama. It did happen in Alabama, but in Georgia, the dual champions are not necessarily the traditional champions. It didn't happen last year for the girls, right? Camden did it, but South Effingham didn't do it in 6A. And we could go down the list. Columbus did it, but they didn't do it in last year and for duels, and so on and so forth. One of the things I'm always interested in is how those teams transition from a dual atmosphere to now a traditional run.
For sure. There's got to be some level of not wanting to revel in the dual win too much as to not kind of get yourself off track for the fact that you got to be ready to go win individual.
Yeah. No, I mean, because it's a totally different. It's a different beast. It's a different beast as a coach. It's a different beast as an athlete. I mean, look around, right? Look around at the momentum that's, you have to kind of generate a little bit of your own momentum at a traditional tournament,
Oh, for sure.
And that's not necessarily the case at duels. So
it's very rare that a team can get momentum as a unit individually. And it's only, you look, Camden rolls deep to Macon every year. So when one of their guys gets a win, by the time the next one's up, there is some fervor building. So if you can do that in a traditional tournament, it's special, but it is rather rare.
All right. So before we jump to all the duels in the other states, I want to very quickly point your direction to the state of Florida, to the Colby Singletary Memorial Invitational that's held at Palmetto Ridge. If you want a de facto all class, and the reason I say that is the knockout is that, except that the knockout includes Georgia teams and Tennessee teams and, teams from everywhere. Colby Singletary is just Florida, and you get the best from the state of Florida all coming together. Number one or first was South Dade, 2 was Charlotte, 3 was Lake Gibson, 4 was Palmetto Ridge, 5 was Somerset, 6 was Jensen Beach and Osceola. Osceola runners up in 3A, Heritage, Mariner, Braden River. I mean, you could go down the list. You had Anderson Heat beating Gianni Maldonado in the finals, 132 with Giovanni Solis and Christian Fretwell and Maximus Brady. If there was an analogous tournament, in the state of Georgia, man, can you imagine combining Camden and all of those teams into one tournament? Or in Alabama, you could combine Huntsville and Thompson and all those into one tournament. How awesome is that?
I can't in Georgia because none of these Georgia coaches like to have fun. They're all curmudgeons, every one of them. So
well, and I'm trying to think, like, I'm going across the Southeast. I don't know of another state that brings in your top 5 teams in all the classifications and has a single tournament.
Agreed. No, I completely agree. I don't think they're real. I mean, Ford Tiger Town has a lot of North Carolinas, but
yeah, no, and there are a few, but
I mean, there's great tournaments.
Great tournaments, but that's unique, right? That doesn't happen very often.
That tournament might just make its way into my top 5 tournaments in the Southeast every year.
I agree simply because of that. All right.
I know we did tournament rankings last year. We didn't do it this year. We got to do it next year. We got to do it every other year because we got to give tournaments time to develop. We got to do it every other year.
All right. So let's switch back to duels and let's throw it out west to the state of Mississippi. And we now have a 6-team bracket to make a run for a state title. Why don't you just give me the breakdown in the state of Mississippi?
Yep. So first, shout out Oak Grove High School, Coach Lesdowski. They'll be hosting it this year. They're a solid squad out there. Secondly, I love what they do, and if you're a state committee member or organizer, and you're watching this video, first off, thank you for the view. But listen in. What Mississippi does is they don't have a girls' dual tournament, but they make a North State All-Star team and a South State All-Star team, and those girls' North All-Stars and South All-Stars will wrestle in a best-of-3 series at the tournament, which I think is a fantastic idea. I love the idea.
Well, and as it's beginning to grow, I mean, we don't have a duel for girls in the state of Florida. We don't have duels in North Carolina for the state of for the girls. We do in Georgia and Tennessee, but that's not a bad idea to kind of begin to foster that on a dual perspective.
I don't think the girls' states I think Georgia and Tennessee could still do this. I don't see why you shouldn't anyways. But beyond that, your top seed out of the North, because the way it works, ladies and gentlemen, there's a North state and a Southern state. Think of that as your sections, ladies and gentlemen. Out of the North state, Lewisburg is your number 1 seed. They get the bye. They've looked real tough all year. Out of the South seed, it's a perennial power in Ocean Springs High School, led by Coach Dennis Murphy. They're super tough. They look really good. The team to watch out for in the first round, you got North Pontotoc and St. Martin. That's going to be one hell of a duel. That's going to be a great duel. That's at 10 a.m. Also at 10 a.m., Oxford take on the number 2 seed out of the South, Van Cleve, the Bulldogs, another really tough squad. Looking for picks out of me, you'll get them. I think Van Cleve will take care of Oxford comfortably. Lewisburg is super tough, but I like what the Bulldogs have going on. Give me Van Cleve to get to the finals, where I think we will get a South State rematch against Ocean Springs, and give me Ocean Springs to win the state title over Van Cleve. And in third, give me Lewisburg in third.
All right. Do they do a third and fourth or just third?
Yep, they do the whole way down. So the loser of match 2 and the top side semi will meet, and then the loser of the bottom side semi and the top side quarter will meet, and then they just wrestle a consolation bracket. For a 16 bracket and for such a young state, I love the way the Mississippi Wrestling Foundation and MHSAA have come together to run the state's wrestling. I love the way they do it.
Do you know how they run it as far as the girls? Do they run like a round of the boys and then do that duel for the
So this
girl,
is that.
or
So if we're going in match order, Oxford, Van Cleve, and North Pontotoc and St. Martin go first. Then a girls' duel. Then the semis. Then a girls' duel. Then the consolation first round. Then if necessary, the third girls' duel, and then the third, fourth, and the finals run together.
do we have any sense of the girls' duel, North versus South strength?
So both teams are actually really tough. The girls, it's rather spread. You got teams like St. Martin that are really good, St. Pat's, Ocean Springs, obviously. I would give me the South, but give me it going to all three duels. I think the North will take one. Because if I'm not mistaken, it's coaching staffs that are put together, and so they could build a 20-girl lineup for the 14 weights. So if I'm not mistaken, they could do some movements within their lineup. So give me the South, but in the full 3 series.
All right, so let's jump to the state of North Carolina, and hopefully after you and I finish, I'm gonna have an opportunity to have a conversation with the Carolina Takedown Talk guys, Rhett and Ryan, and their take on the state duels. If you haven't listened to their take back before the weekend started, this is the reason I wanted to talk to them, because they already gave their take last weekend, and now midway through the week, we get to actually kind of approach the subject of what did they get right and what did they get wrong up to this point. But so North Carolina runs 2 rounds last Saturday. They run a round on Wednesday, or 2 rounds on Wednesday, and the state finals is on Saturday. We're down to our Elite 8. Let's start in 1A. Is that good? Is that okay, or you want to go for it?
Yeah. No, we can do one.
All right. West or East?
Let's do West first.
All right. So out West, we've got our top 4 seeds made it to that point. Robbinsville will take on Allegheny, Mount Airy, and Avery County. You know, year in, year out, if we're looking at 3 teams within 1A, 2 of them come out of the West. That is Robbinsville and Avery County. On the other side in the East, it's Uwharrie Charter. We'll get to them in a second. Do you think we're going to get another Robbinsville Avery County rematch in this West finals, and one of those 2 teams will make it out?
I'm likely to lean. So Mount Airy looked really good against East Wilkes. Don't misunderstand me, ladies and gentlemen. That Mount Airy team is dangerous. Allegheny, not to say a little bit further out, but Polk County gave them some trouble. And you're running up against Robbinsville. I am suspecting it to be Robbinsville and Avery County, and give me Robbinsville to get to the finals. I really like Avery County, but Robbinsville 72-5 over Mountain Island, 71-6 over Mitchell. Robbinsville, they're peaking at the right time like they always do. So give me Robbinsville to get to the state finals.
All right. And on the East, we've got number 1 seed Uwharrie Charter against number 5 seed Albemarle. I think that's how you say it. 3 seed.
That's one of those weird ones.
Thomasville. 2 seed Rosewood. Typically, we talk about Uwharrie Charter as the team to beat out of the East. Although, you know, you can't sleep, especially on those 2 teams on the bottom. Rosewood and Thomasville are super tough. What do you see? How do you see 1A East playing out?
So all respect to Albemarle. They've wrestled real good. They beat Lejeune. They knocked off Pamlico.
Pamlico? I think it's Pamlico,
County,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, I love Pamlico County's logo, that Hurricanes logo. Nice touch, lads. But it's Uwharrie Charter. They're a monster. They'll get through Albemarle. That 3-2 duel on the bottom, I think, is super, super fun. My gut's telling me Rosewood, and I'm gonna pick Rosewood. Don't be surprised though if Thomasville notches the upset, but I'm gonna go chalk. Give me Uwharrie to get to the state finals against Robbinsville.
And your champion is?
It's It's tough to pick against Robbinsville. They've looked incredible all year. Give me Robbinsville. They've looked incredible all year.
Okay. All right. So that is 1-8. By the way, how do you like my creation of those brackets? You like those logos on there?
Oh, and you are on those quick, by the way. No, if no one knows, I'm convinced he has these done. Like, he has to be looking at duels, and when the score gets too far, he's already in on his computer. Fair play to you. It's
Well,
impressive.
built the template, right? And it will be produced quickly. So there we go. All right. So let's jump to 2A West. And we have in 2A West, we have number 1 Trinity, a Cinderella story in Lincolnton, the 12 seed. Madison, who has looked tough as the 6 seed. Number 2, West Lincoln, who is always tough. Madison had to survive a 42-42 criteria to get to this point. Trinity has looked absolutely fantastic. My question is, will the Cinderella story continue on?
You know, I do love me a good Cinderella story. I do. And Lincolnton is, by the way, let's not call them a Cinderella and make people. They've wrestled. They knocked off Mount Pleasant. They wrestled great. Bandy's in their own right knocked off Moorhead in the first round. So you had a 12-13 matchup. Lincolnton gets the job done there. But they run into a buzzsaw. Trinity looks super tough from top to bottom. Give me Trinity. The glass slipper does not fit. However, on the bottom side, give me Madison over West Lincoln. I love West Lincoln. I do, and I'm going to catch heat, but Madison, they're peaking at the right time. They look really good, and I think stylistically, I think they match up really well with them.
So, will we see Madison get through or no?
No, I'm going to go with Trinity, get to the state finals, but Madison gives them a hell of a duel.
All right. Out in 2A East, we get number 1 Seaforth, 4 Southwest Onslow, 3 Bunn, and 2 Washington. I'll tell you what, I've watched Seaforth wrestle. I've watched Bunn wrestle. I did a write-up on Washington at the beginning of the year. Each of these teams took care of business to get to this point. Really, and I wouldn't say handily, but the duels, they were doing what needed to be done. These are your 4 best teams out of the East. How is that going to play out?
Give me Seaforth over Southwest. I think Southwest Onslow, they got a good group around them. I think they'll be back. I don't think this is their last time being in this type of position, but Seaforth looks great all year. Bunn and Washington might be my duel of the semifinals. That's a really, really fun duel meet down in 2A. Give me Washington, and then give me Washington to get to the state finals, beating Seaforth.
Wow. All right. And we've got a Washington Trinity final. Who claims the title?
Give me Washington.
I think he's just grasping at the moment, man. But okay. All right. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. That's not a slight on Washington. Trinity has looked absolutely fantastic.
I think, but here's the thing. I think Trinity's looked really good. Washington has looked incredible. And Seaforth has also looked incredible. I think all 3 of those teams could very well win this bracket. But if I'm going to pick one, just off a gut feeling, give me Washington. A little bit of a gut feeling here. I'll admit that.
And Bunn will tell you, you know what? It won't matter. He's wrong because we're going to beat him in the semifinals and they won't even get a chance.
That could happen too. That very well could happen as well.
All right, so let's go 3A West with Eastern Guilford, your 1 seed, Ashbrook, the 4 seed, Pisgah, the 3 seed, West Roan, the 2 seed. Again, we have the top 4 seeds to this point. Ashbrook is the only team that was really kind of pushed in that quarterfinal round. I'm a big fan. That bottom semifinal is going to be an outstanding duel. How is this going to play out?
Top side, I think Ashbrook will be a little outmatched. Eastern Guilford, they've looked really, really good all year. And in their first 2 duels, they hammered
Inca, you know?
Hammered is that a forfeit in the first round against
No,
West?
no. I just couldn't find the team score.
Okay. Well, yes. So they blew the doors off of Anka in the quarterfinals.
They did.
Give me Eastern Guilford probably by about 20. I think Ashbrook will hang in and it'll be respectable, but Eastern Guilford's just that good. That 2-3 is a fantastic bottom side semifinal. I really like Pisgah, and I'm gonna pick them, but I'm not surprised if West Rowan knock them go to the finals out of the West.
And
Give me Eastern Guilford over Pisgah. It's tough for me to pick against Eastern Guilford because of how well-rounded they are. Like, if you're going to beat them, you have to be good at all 14 spots.
all right. So out east, we have what I think might be the best team, at least maybe in a tournament setting. I don't know about a dual setting in the state of North Carolina with Union Pines. They are stacked throughout the lineup, but especially up top. Croatan is the 4 seed. They take them on. Cedar Ridge, your 6 seed, got to the semifinals, and they will take on Jacksonville. How does the East happen?
So the East is rather interesting. Let's look at the bottom first for a second. Person knocked off the 3 seed in Turcotte County.
Yeah, Kurtik?
Sure. Whatever. Beats them 40-37. And then Cedar Ridge, who in their own right blew the doors off of Carborough 70-7. They're able to get to the semis to meet a really tough Jacksonville squad who's coming off a 3-13 win in the quarters. Give me Cedar Ridge to continue this run of form. Jacksonville's super tough, but it's something about Cedar Ridge. They're good at all positions. They don't get stuck a lot, which I think is going to be important. Give me Cedar Ridge. And then on the top side, it's Union Pines. They might be the best team in the state of North Carolina, pound for pound. I think you can make the argument. Once you hit like 75 and up, it's like, good God, have fun beating them. So give me Union Pines, and then give me Union Pines to beat Cedar Ridge to advance to the state finals.
And Union Pines, Eastern Guilford, a matchup of the 2 number 1s.
Yeah, and give me Union Pines. It's going to be tough to beat them.
All right, so let's jump out west in 4A, where we have Davie County, Hickory Ridge, Grimsley, and a really good Husky squad from Huff, who knocked off the Cam Stinson-led Mallard Creek crew in the quarterfinals. Davie County, they put up 153 points in their 2 duels to 3.
God.
Is anybody going to stop the Davie County train?
So let's not look past Hickory Ridge. Hickory Ridge is super tough.
They are.
But I don't know if heads up them in Davie County is a great matchup for them. If you put them on the other side of the bracket, I think we're having a different discussion, but give me Davie County, you advance. I want to know who put Huff as the 10 seed, and I want to know how and why. They are not a 10 seed. They simply are not. And Grimsley is super tough.
They are.
But if I were to pick between Mallard Creek and Grimsley, my mind would say Mallard Creek. So, with that being said, do I dare put a 10 seed in the West Finals? Yes, I do. Give me a Huff over Grimsley.
Okay.
I did good in Georgia. I'm okay with doing bad in North Carolina. But give me Davie County over Huff. I just think Davie County is a powerhouse. I think them in Union Pines, you can make the case.
Yeah. I agree with you. All right. Davie County is solid, definitely. All right. So out in the East, we get number 1 Laney versus number 12 Cardinal Gibbons, who had some really good wins to get to this point. You also have a really good Hoke County squad, who is the 11 seed, who again, just like we've been talking about, I don't know how they got the 11 because that doesn't seem it seems like they should have been higher than that, me personally. And then the number 2, you've got Lumberton, who is solid as well. So this actually
Hang
is
on.
going to be
No,
really,
no,
really good.
stop. Don't look past that. No. We're going to talk about this for a second. Someone else explains to me. 6th seed is Millbrook. Hope County beats their doors in 60-15. And then Pinecrest, who's really good, by the way, 58-22.
Right.
I don't get Hope is the 11th seed. I
I
don't
don't
get it.
either.
Someone from North Carolina maybe explain it to us, but whatever. Cardinal Gibbons and Laney on the top side of the bracket. Laney's looked really good. Carey hung in with him. Cardinal Gibbons and Afton Drive was a back and forth duel. Cardinal Gibbons for 12 seed. Give me Laney to get through them here. And that bottom side, man, that duel. I'm considering Hope County, but give me Lumberton. And it's going to come back to bite me. Hope County's going to be the one upset there that I don't pick, and they're going to get it. I know that's how this is going to go. But give me Lumberton, and then give me Laney over Lumberton to get to the finals where they will meet Davie County.
And we've got a set of 1s in the finals. Who we got?
Man, give me Davie County. I about talked myself out of it, but give me Davie County. I think they're probably your marks on favorite. If you want to rank outsider, though, Grimsley might just smack me in the face and get to the finals.
Yeah. Well, at this point in time, honestly, you've got teams who have won 2 duels in the state series to get to this point. They all have to believe that they can beat everybody else and win a state title. They're only 3 wins away from first place. So
that's what I think is fascinating about that type of system is you get through your first 2 duels and then you go back home for a couple of days. I think that there's a lot that could happen there for a team. You look at a Hope County, you look at a Huff. You got 2 days to hype yourselves up. If I'm not mistaken, isn't Huff hosting there?
They are.
I think that's you know what, my Huff pick might actually be a lot better than I thought. But beyond that, I think that there's a lot that could go good for a team or go bad for a team if you overthink. So lots of stuff that could happen there. But yeah, hold me to those picks, North Carolinians, and yell at me when I'm wrong.
Absolutely. Just like everybody else does.
Hey, they weren't able to do much of it in Georgia, though. They weren't able to do much.
There were still a few people that were like loving to give you grief.
At Cass.
All right, so let's move to the state of Tennessee. You and I will wrap this up. If I get an opportunity to talk to the Carolina Takedown Talk guys, it'll be interesting to see how they differ from what you just said. I think actually it'll probably be pretty similar. So if this is longer than say 40 minutes, everybody stay tuned because that'll be at the back half of our conversation. All right. So let's move to the state of Tennessee and let's start with our number 1 team in the Southeast, Cleveland, in the girls who have just looked outstanding. Don't get me wrong. We've got Northwest, who they will wrestle in the first round. Bradley Central and Clarksville are at the bottom. What does a team have to do to beat Cleveland? And don't say like blow up the bus or something. Like give me something realistic.
You beat me in saying it. Have the scales be 4 pounds over so all the Cleveland girls miss weight?
They just bump up and beat you.
Oh, I mean, but the problem is, how do you beat that Cleveland team?
I don't know because they are deep. I mean, they have girls. They beat the Carrollton squad, who we talked about earlier in this episode, right? They went to Florida and beat some of the best teams in the state of Florida.
And wait. Beat some of the best Florida club teams. Like let's keep that in mind. They beat club teams. Let's keep that in mind. Continue.
Well, and then in the state of Tennessee, I think they've already wrestled both Northwest, well, all 3 of the teams that are here. So, Is it too early to just hand out the medal, the title to Cleveland?
Yes, it's always too early to do that. But from a media perspective, I don't know how you beat them. Like, so you have arguably the best women's coach in the Southeast in Bosch. I mean, Bosch and Donnell Bradley, like there's a short list. And I think those 2 or 3 are right at the top of it, right? So you have one of the best coaches, arguably in the country, arguably in the world. Cool. You have a level of talent that I don't know a single girls team in the Southeast has ever seen before. You have a city that's around them. I don't know, man.
Well, and they've got a boys team that is on a roll, and the girls have to look at it and go, "We're just as good as they are." I mean, they got competition within their own school of which of the two of us are better.
For sure. But I also think it's so healthy, that level of competition. It's so good to have.
All right. So if Cleveland takes first, how do you see Bradley Central Clarksville playing out? Who gets them in the finals?
I think it'll be a good duel, but give me Clarksville. I think that they are a little bit more consistent throughout their lineup. I'm willing to trust some of their backups a bit more if they have to make some moves. So give me Clarksville. And then in third, give me Bradley Central when they wrestle for third, fourth.
Yeah, well, they'll wrestle for third, fourth. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's jump to the boys Division II smallest classification, like Division II
Yeah,
small school Division II. We've got Brentwood Academy, Lakeway Christian, Battleground Academy, Boyd Buchanan. And what's interesting to me here is this, and that is the thing that stands out to me. Brentwood Academy, they're 17-6 on the season, but some of their losses are to Father Ryan, to Brentwood, to Nolansville. Boyd Buchanan is 8-8 on the season. Their losses are to Brentwood and Nolansville, Soddy Daisy, McCallie, Montgomery Bell Academy. You've got Lakeway Christian, who we saw down at the knockout, Battleground Academy. So even though the records may not be all that impressive, in this format, they've wrestled some good teams to this point this year.
It's going to be interesting to see how this bracket plays out. I think you can make the case that 3 of these 4 teams could walk home with the state title.
All right. So how is it going to play out?
I really think in my heart of hearts, the winner of that Brentwood Lakeway duel is your state champion. I think that they'll get the job done, whoever wins that one. So I'm going to go with my gut. Give me Lakeway Christian over Brentwood.
Okay. All right.
Give me Boyd Buchanan over BGA. Give me Brentwood Academy in third.
All right. Let's jump to Class A. So we're going to go away from Division II because I want to talk about that at the end. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Class A, the small schools in the state of Tennessee. I mean, let's be honest. I said at the beginning of the year, I stand by it. Soddy Daisy is 33-0 on the season. They beat Signal Mountain 55-19. They beat Red Bank 43-29. They get a Munford squad in the first round. Station Camp is 26-9 on the season. Anderson County, who was down for 2A, is 11-6 on the season. They took a loss to Pigeon Forge. First question is, on that top side, is anybody knocking off Soddy Daisy? I
really don't think so. I really like Anderson County and Station County. I like both those teams, but I think this is one of those where we could go ahead and say this is Soddy Daisy's to lose.
Okay. So the bottom side is a whole other story, though, because I think that
bottom side is very interesting.
It is very interesting. I mean, you've got probably the best, for me, the best duel in 1A in the first round is on that bottom duel with Signal Mountain versus Tullahoma. Both have lost to Soddy Daisy, right? Signal Mountain's 21-3, Tullahoma's 24-7. Their duels really against Soddy were pretty similar. The duel scores were very similar. Pigeon Forge is always tough sitting there. Millington beat Munford, who's up top. So how does the bottom play out?
Give me Signal Mountain to get through. I think they'll beat Tullahoma, and I think Pigeon Forge will get past Millington. Give me Signal Mountain and get to the finals against Soddy Daisy.
And
it's going to go Soddy Daisy, Signal Mountain. Let me just be sure that this would work out the way I think it does, because brackets are stupid sometimes. Yep, okay. Give me Soddy Daisy in first, Signal Mountain in second, Pigeon Forge in third, Tullahoma in fourth.
All right. Okay.
I had to be sure that Tullahoma and Pigeon wouldn't meet in the Conti semis.
Yeah, no, I think they cross bracket there. So
no, they do. That's what I was checking. I was like, let me just be sure of this.
All right. So let's jump to the big school in the state of Tennessee. I mean, let's be honest. Cleveland is 14-0. I don't know how many they've won in a row as far as their duels go. They obviously have a team that is a juggernaut. They won the knockout. They hammered Bradley Central earlier this year. They did beat Summit, who that is a fascinating first round match. Summit is 23-3 on the year. They beat Summit 45-24, and probably the team that has been closest in the state of Tennessee to them, and they get them first.
Yeah, I don't know how they do this in Tennessee. Is it like a placement or is it seeded?
I think it's seeded, but I don't.
Then
I don't,
how?
I don't.
Then how?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think that will be interesting, but it's going to be Cleveland. That Arlington Cleveland or Brentwood duel, mind you, I think is super fascinating.
I agree with that.
But give me Cleveland to get through to the finals. Let's start there.
Okay.
Give me Cleveland to move to the finals.
So on the bottom side, I mean it's kind of chaos. I mean, man,
I have no clue.
Shouldn't Summit be down at the bottom?
The bottom side's dark. I have no clue. Man.
I don't. Dobbins is 21-3, right? Bradley's 7-4 on the year, but two of their losses are to Cleveland and Summit, who are up top. Knoxville's and Halls was 12-9. Bartlett was 14-5. Knoxville Halls has won 6 in a row, but they do have a loss to Dobbins Bennett.
Of course they do. Why not? Like, just why not make my life difficult making these picks? Give me Knoxville Halls over Bartlett. Give me Bradley Central over Dobbins. Give me Bradley Central over Knoxville Halls.
Wow. So we get a Cleveland Bradley Central rivalry rematch in the finals. Can Bradley Central derail the train that is Cleveland?
No. Cleveland gets their 35th in a row. Give me Cleveland, Bradley Central, Dobbins Bennett. I have a wild hair at my you-know-what to pick Summit in fourth.
Why wouldn't Summit be third?
Well, wait, hang on. How's this going to drop for? So they're going to run into
Brentwood's tough, though. Although Summit won't meet Brentwood.
Yeah, no, they won't. I just realized that.
Summit would meet Dobbins Bennett, though. But Summit's already... Have they already beaten... I don't know if they've beaten Dobbins Bennett or not. So, yeah, okay. All right, so Cleveland, Bradley Central.
If I'm wrong, I'm blaming you. Summit, Dobbins Bennett.
All right.
You talked me into it, damn it.
And let's now move to our final one, Division II in the state of Tennessee, larger schools. This one is, I think, the most uncertain. I don't know that I can pick it. Like, so let's lay the land, right? It's 4 teams. We got Father Ryan versus Baylor in round 1, Christian Brothers versus McCallie on the bottom side. McCallie is 6-2. Their losses are to Cleveland and Thompson, Alabama in duels. They beat Baylor 39-32. They beat Father Ryan 39-36. Christian Brothers lost to Father Ryan 39-24. Baylor obviously has studs, but they also have a few holes. I want to see how you're going to pick this one.
So here's the funny thing here, Jason. I don't know how I'm gonna pick it either. Hell.
McCallie's already beaten 2 of the 3 teams in the field. Doesn't that, or 2 of the other 3 teams?
Yeah, I know, best friend. Give me McCallie over Christian Brothers. Christian Brothers is good. Don't misunderstand me here, but it's McCallie. Man, that Baylor Father Ryan duel is so tough. What was the score between McCallie and Father Ryan again?
39-36. That happened January 13th. So about 2 weeks ago.
McCallie and Baylor?
McCallie Baylor just happened, just a few days ago, and they beat Baylor 39-32.
Okay, so it didn't really matter.
It's one match. It's one match.
I'm trying to think of a match. Give me, you know what? I'm done doing this, and I want a reason to make the people I know mad at me. Let's have some fun with this, shall we? Give me Father Ryan over Baylor. But wait, there's more. Give me Father Ryan over McCallie.
I think that's actually a pretty good pick. I think in terms of
there
duels,
isn't a good pick. All three of them could win it. Like, there isn't a good pick. I'm throwing darts. This is darts and popcorn. That's what this whole bracket is.
Well, and Christian Brothers is there. They're not significantly outside of that, but I don't know if so the thing I think I like about McCallie and Father Ryan is that I don't know that they have many holes. Like they've got just a lot of depth throughout their teams. So
that's what I was gonna say is I think in a dual setting, those 2 teams are the most likely to, no matter what happens in the toss, be fine.
Right, and we've seen it. We saw it in duels this past weekend. The toss and choice, like where it begins and the toss, are super important.
Absolutely. So, yep, hold me to it. Father Ryan, McCallie, Baylor, Christian Brothers.
All right, guys. So that's the picks for Tennessee, Mississippi, North Carolina. Hopefully stick around for my conversation with Rhett and Ryan for Carolina Takedown Talk. And Lucas, let's see if you're right next week.
I promise you I'm not going to be.
All right, man.
I was unsure of Bama. I'm very unsure about North Carolina. Tennessee, I think I'm good, except that bracket.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. All right, man. You take care, and I will talk to you next week.
Yes, sir.
All right. And I want to welcome everybody to the Carolina Takedown Talk duo, Rhett and Ryan, who I haven't seen in a minute, and I miss you guys. You guys are doing an awesome job up in Carolina. I always love having conversations. Ryan, let's go with you first.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us. I miss seeing you around too.
Yeah, it's been a fun season. Rhett, have you been doing okay?
I am surviving and thriving. All right. It's money season. We're here. We're talking to our boy Jason Fulmore on Southeast Russell. What can be better, you know?
All right. So if you were to give yourself a grade on the first couple weeks, just an overall grade, because Ryan, I know you're a teacher, so you're handing out grades, right? If you're giving yourself a grade on the first weekend, the Saturday, Ryan, how did you do on just overall?
I'm gonna give myself a C- for 2 picks alone. For 2 picks alone, I dismissed Madison, right? Like I got called out. Someone sent to my own personal Facebook page, like, what happened? You were hating on the seed of Madison, and look at them now in the Elite Eight. And I was like, you know what? I'll take that L. And then the Huff Trip Rogers pick, I picked over them with Mallard Creek, and I said Mooresville's going to make it to the Elite Eight, and neither of those things happened. So I got to take my my humble pie and take my C minus.
All right. So you got a C minus coming into the Elite Eight. You're going to have an opportunity for some extra credit and get your grade back up based upon kind of our conversation. Rhett,
Ryan, you're not used to that, but that is a situation that I am very used to being. You'll make it through, okay? We're good, okay?
So, Rhett, how was your weekend? What grade would you give yourself?
Like a Z? No. I don't know. I feel like a C is about right. For the whole podcast as a brand. As collectively, but the real thing is just how much of a just ridiculousness it is of our seating process. Okay, that's just I don't want to make excuses here or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's insane at some of the seatings and locations that took place that had to go down, first round, especially in some, one certain classification, but all across the board, really, looking back at it, you had a DH Conley that was a 5 seed, facing the Cardinal Gibbons team that was a 12 seed in the 4A East. So I don't even think that we talked about that on our pre-show, for our pre-state dual show that we did. But that to me is just insane of how, like, and no disrespect, DH Conley, like they've been continuously growing their program these past few years and doing really well. And but it's just something like, I don't know what needs to change. And I know that's kind of those things. It's like, don't throw out, a problem that you don't have a solution to, but we got to do something.
Yeah. So some of the seeds you had to kind of question. You mentioned one, Rhett. So Ryan, do you have one that you were like, that's not really the way that should have played out?
The Lincolnton seed to me was the most atrocious one, and I know what our seeding process is with. It's the conference champions who really get precedence amongst the seeds. But Rhett and I kind of mentioned in our last show that assumes equal strength amongst conferences, and we know that is not true. So we have Lincolnton, who all year has been the top 3 of dual team strength. They dropped 1 duel to West Lincoln, and they dropped from what would have been a 2 seed to a 12 seed. And it really wasn't Lincolnton who got messed up in that seeding process, right? They ended up making the Elite Eight. And we predicted
they took
that.
care of business, right? Yeah.
It was, to me, it was Mount Pleasant who got the travesty of that end, because they could be in this Elite Eight too. I know I already got the Madison hate, but I feel like they could compete with a Madison, right? They could have been in that spot in the Elite Eight. So Mount Pleasant's the one that really kind of got screwed in that situation, having to wrestle Lincoln first round.
Yeah.
That seat was bad.
I agree. I agree with you. So we're not going to get into a debate on how to fix the seating. That's not the reason for being here at the moment. Yeah. Right.
All
so
right.
let's take this by like class and go through it a little bit. And I really am interested in kind of, because the people who watch it from my perspective, from SE Wrestle, they're getting a sense. You guys are getting a deep dive into Carolina, and with Rhett and Ryan, they know it so much better than I do. But I want to know kind of what your feelings were as it related to particular brackets and those sorts of things. So one, let's take it out into 1A West with Robbinsville, Avery County. If we're talking 1A, we're talking Robbinsville, Avery County, Uwharrie Charter, that sort of thing. Those are the 3 big teams within 1A. Are we going to see a Robbinsville, Avery County in the West to go to state, or does an Allegheny Mount Airy kind of have a shot? Rhett, why don't we start with you?
So, as much as I am a fan of the Mount Airy program and what they have been doing, what they've been building there, I don't think that there's anybody that has a shot with Avery County this year in 1A. I think that 1A, I think that Avery County is one of the rare teams that come from 1A that we could put them against any 4A team, any 3A team, any 2A team, and it's going to be a duel. Like, it's going to be a scrap. I think they could be the pound for pound best team in the state right now. And that's just hammers from 106 to heavyweight. And that's just what they've been doing. That Dogtown Wrestling Club up there, and the Avery County staff, Coach Dunn up there, Coach Burleson, they have been killing it, building a dynasty up in the mountains of Western North Carolina up there. But
been building it for a while. I mean,
absolutely,
Avery County has been a program, one
absolutely,
of the best small school programs in the Southeast for a long time.
Well, I remember whenever really first started building, was never I was still in high school, and that was whenever they really just started.
That long ago?
Yeah, man, that long ago. Last week, basically. Okay. Last week. Okay. So, but no, they've just been doing it the right way.
I agree.
And they built the feeder system. They built the right club. They have a facility at the club that they can come in and they can run their own practices, right? They slowly build off the right technique and how they want to wrestle that Avery style.
Right.
And it's just
I agree with you. So I'm going to flip it to Ryan. Ryan, were you surprised about anything that happened in 1A West?
No, I thought we would see chalk. I was interested in the Allegheny and Polk duel, but it went exactly the way I thought. And I think you said it best to start, right? We have a tier system really in 1A. URA Charter and Robbinsville and Avery are kind of the first cut above. And I think Allegheny and Polk and Mount Airy are kind of that next tier. You could probably put Rosewood in that as well. So I wasn't really surprised. It went chalk. I figured it would go chalk just based on the talent dispersion right now in 1A. It kind of feels like it's right there, especially the West. It's Robbinsville, Avery. I hope we get it. The atmosphere is going to be electric.
Yeah,
to me, every time they duel in the playoffs, it's the best atmosphere we have, even including the state duel finals. It's that passionate from both fan bases.
I don't think we can sleep on Allegheny, though. I don't think that Robbinsville has an easy pass to that Wednesday night duel. I don't think they have an easy pass to the semis. I think Allegheny has a shot. Okay, Coach Slinker down there, I think he has a shot, but I do agree with Ryan. If I had to pick one that I really want to see, it's that Avery Robbinsville in the West.
So one of the duels that we actually talked about a little bit in detail when Lucas and I were having a conversation was Thomasville Rosewood on the East. Looks like it's a pretty even matchup between those two. How do you see that playing out, Ryan? And do either of them have a shot at knocking off a URE Charter?
So I'll start with the answer is no. Neither of them have a shot to knock off URE. URE has beaten way too many good teams this year to even think it's a realm of possibility of anyone getting close in the 1A East. Okay. I really view the Rosewood Thomasville duel as kind of a 50-50 toss-up. It's super even. I kind of, in my mind, I'm leaning Thomasville is going to come out just because I feel like they have higher end talent. And they're going to kind of collect some of those 5 and 6 points versus decisions and majors. But I think it's going to be one of those duels that comes down to the last 2 or 3 matches.
All right. So, Rhett, you just chuckled at Ryan's response. Why did you laugh?
It's just, you are just that good right now. If you want, the 1A East is ran through URE, and that's it. I think that we could put an all-star team together of Albemarle, Thomasville, and Rosewood, and I still don't think that they would beat URE right now.
All right. So you think we'll get a URE Avery match in the finals, Rhett? You agree with him, Ryan?
I do. I said on our podcast last week, I cannot pick against Avery when they have the studs that they do. And I think they match up duel-wise against Robbinsville, maybe better than any other team in 1A specifically, just because their studs don't hit Robbinsville studs, except for Adair Panama and Cooper Foster, right? The rest of it is hitting guys that you could see major bonus points for Avery. So it's really hard when you feel like Avery's going to start with 27 points out the gate.
All right. So if you were to rank the top dual teams in the state, regardless of class, real quick as we wrap up 1A, where is Avery, Ryan?
It's hard. Somewhere in that top 4. I think they're somewhere in that top 4. With those studs, they're gonna score those bonus points pretty much every duel, so that it puts other teams in that hole right away.
All right, Rhett.
Yeah, I mean, I got to put them at number 1 this year. I think the best dual team in the state.
Okay. All right. They're that good.
They are that good right now.
All right. All right. So let's jump to 2A West, where we got Trinity, Lincoln, who we talked about being Cinderella because they were at 12, but you made a point earlier. I don't remember if that was on the conversation when we had actually started talking or when we were recording or not, but doesn't matter. Madison, who Ryan has to take a little bit of on the chin, and West Lincoln. Ryan, I've watched Trinity wrestle. I haven't watched any of the other teams this season wrestle. Trinity looks fantastic. Are they the predicted favorite? And is there any surprise in the West in 2A?
I think Madison's the surprise. I wasn't expecting them to beat RS. It came down to like the 7th criteria. That one kind of shook me, especially after I was hating on that seed really hard. I remember the quote. I was like, oh, I could get down with West Lincoln at 2, RS at 3, but Madison at the 6 with Lincoln, so Madison surprised me. I feel like Trinity is a cut above. I know West Lincoln beat Lincolnton in a head-to-head duel, but matchups matters in duels, and that's what makes them interesting, right?
Even though you hate it.
Even though I hate it, because we have to coaches play the chess game, and the best kids don't wrestle the best kids all the time. So I think Lincolnton is the toughest matchup for Trinity in the entire state. I think this is the match for them. This is the state finals for them. If they win this one, I'm predicting them to roll kind of to the state title here. But that Lincolnton Elite 8 quarter first thing Wednesday, that's a tough one out the gate. So, but I do think Trinity has the lineup, top end talent, and solid kids all around that's kind of built for this.
Rhett, what's your rebuttal to that statement? Do you agree?
I feel like the Trinity rolls is a little bit of a overstep there. I feel like that's a little disrespectful to Seaforth coming out of the East. All right. I know we're only talking about the West right now, but
right. Well, that's actually what I was talking about, right?
Definitely the top side of this bracket is where I think the state champ was going to come from. Period. Looking at it before, because of that quad with Mount Pleasant, Lincolnton, Bandy's, Moorhead, just that quad alone was just a murderer's row of whoever comes out of this has a real shot to win it. And it's just one of those things.
Does your champ come out of this?
My champ comes out the top. My champ is Trinity. Okay. I just don't go as far as Ryan does with they roll. Okay, that's I feel like that's a little dismissive to the program that Seaforth out in the East has built, and is continuing to build out there.
All right. So my question, as we transition to the East, I agree. I love watching Seaforth and all the things that they've been doing and everything else. Rhett, for me, the one of the first round matches or the whatever matches in the East that I'm really most interested in is Bunn and Washington, which I think is actually going to be a really good duel between two very good teams. One, do you think it's going to be a fantastic duel? And two, is either team have a shot to punch their ticket to the finals?
So I think that's going to be a lot of fun on that duel. I think they're equally matched. Bun's been in that program over the past few years that they've been a big part of our growth, I feel like, as a podcast, right? They've been that team that we just continuously sleep on and don't give enough credit to. I feel like we constantly kind of kick them down, not kick them down like disrespectfully, but just kind of their strength of schedule.
Underestimate them.
Yes, yeah, that's the best way to talk about it. Their strength of schedule was the biggest question, and it was one of the things we talked about on the last show was that Bun, we have to give it to them. We came at them and said our biggest question for you is you don't really wrestle anybody. Like, you haven't wrestled anybody. Well, the past 2 years they have gone and sought out competition. They have strengthened their schedule. So it's not like they just heard it and, they're like, oh, well, who we wrestle's fine. We'll stay exactly where we are. We're making the state finals. Like, we don't need to change anything. They're not just happy making the state finals. They are wanting to make that leap and win that title. But Washington's a different animal this year. I think that Washington's going to have their number. I don't think that either one of them can handle Seaforth. I think the Seaforth just has too many just horses in the stable is the best way to put it. They have too many studs that are going to bring bonus points.
So Ryan,
either one of those teams to keep up with.
Ryan, I agree with Rhett. Like, that from an outsider's perspective, I that assessment seems right to me. Does it seem right to you as an insider?
Yeah, I feel like Rhett's kind of hitting the nail on the head. I think Washington's kind of proves throughout the year they're a better team than Bun. They have a lot of young talent, and it's kind of experience mix to go with it. There's something to be said, though, in the Bun-Washington match for have been there before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bun's been in the state dual finals the past 2 years. So there's a huge piece of me that thinks that experience is going to matter, and Bun's going to sneak this one out. Even though they haven't been the Bun team of the past 2 years, they still have kids that have that mentality. So I think that's going to be a fun duel. It's probably the most fun duel of the East in total. When you look at the whole East 2A East bracket all the way to the end, I think that one's going to be probably the best matchup in total. But I don't think either of them have a chance against Seaforth. Not to be dismissive, but Rhett kind of hit that with Gabe Rogers and the Miller brothers and Lane Armstrong and Harrison Compton, who was a state qualifier last year as a freshman at upper weight, and a couple other studs
Ethan
that they
Cabal
got
at 215.
15. They just have too many studs to be able to beat in the 2A East right now. I think they're just starting to build what could possibly be the 2A East dynasty for the next few years, right? They're kind of on that trajectory.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I love the fact that Rhett was not going to let you go past one of the big guys and giving him some love. So shout out to you, Rhett, of holding true to your own, and saying that that's super important.
Big boys need loving too, okay? Get it on a shirt right now. Big boys need loving too.
So Ryan, before we wrap up was there any surprise to this point? And what would be the surprise if, moving forward, if there was a big surprise of that would kind of, be a thing for you?
I don't think there was too many surprises outside the Madison and the West. The East kind of went to what I thought. I did pick Mania over Southwest Onslow. I let my Outer Banks bias love get in that one. But it wasn't too surprising. I think if anything happens where Seaforth loses, that's the surprise. Other than that, the toss up that is Bun Washington, either one could come out. But if either of them even get close to Seaforth, I find that as a surprise.
All right, so let's move to 3A West, where we had Eastern Guilford, who just looked great. Ashbrook, who beat Dudley. You got Pisgah and West Roan. And this is where, Ryan, you get a little frustrated because we don't get some of the individual matchups that we want to necessarily see. But it is a team event, man. And we want to see which team rises, right? And coaches have to play that game.
Yeah, I was really hopeful. I begged on the show to get the to get the Culp Hill matchup. Literally sat there and begged. Rhett was unsure of like what I was doing. But it didn't happen, right? Pisgah had to win the duel, which I appreciate because everybody knows I've been picking the Pisgah train all year long. We'll get that match at state tournament, but it's one of my things. Rhett likes to pick on me about hating duels, but I just like to see the best kids wrestle the best kids, and I want that to happen as soon as possible. I'm an impatient man that wants to just see all the scraps.
All right, so the Pisgah West Rowan duel looks like a really good one. Again, on paper, it looks really good. I'm not going to dismiss Ashbrook, but Eastern Guilford's looked superb up to this point. How do you kind of see the East or the West playing out, Ryan?
The Pisgah West Rowan matchup is
it's Rowan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's Rowan. But
I apologize.
Yeah. Listen,
it's okay. A few years ago, Ryan was calling the team that he was picking to win a state title. They're Central Cabarrus. He was all on the Central Cabarrus train, so it's okay. He can't give you any crap about any names.
I wasn't gonna give it, mate. I was gonna say that you and I are mispronounce kids' names like it's our job.
If you had a dollar for every time you mispronounce the kid's name, boy,
I'd be rich. Oh gosh,
we'd be millionaires by now.
There's a kid from Davie County that would make me a lot of money.
I don't even want to go. I don't even want to try to say his name. So go ahead, Ryan.
But Pisgah West Rowan, I feel like this is like the ultimate toss up. Like West Rowan was so close last year.
Yeah.
They had a really tough duel with Fred T. Ford, right? Or Eastern Guilford, one of the two. I can't remember which one it was last year, but they lost close. Pisgah's been the team I've been talking about all year long with Landon Pope and Xander Hill and Kane Bryson. They have the studs up and down their lineup. I really feel like if you wrestled that one 10 times, you probably get 10 different results as far as numbers go, and they probably split 5-5. I'm sticking with the nation, obviously, and going Pisgah. I feel like you hit the nail on the head. Eastern Guilford looked phenomenal. They're built right now for this tournament in particular. I don't see them being I don't see them being much of a factor in the individual tournament yet, right? Not this year. But the dual tournament, they're built for this. So I feel like they're gonna roll, and it's gonna be this might be the best quad that we're gonna see on Wednesday night. Like the favorite one for me that I'm keeping my eyes on closest.
So Rhett, what do you disagree with? I saw you shaking your head in agreement. Was there anything you disagree with what Ryan just said?
Not really.
Wow.
I mean, I think Eastern Guilford.
I owe you a dollar, Ryan. I owe you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, except for the fact that West Rowan wins. I think that they go with West Rowan. I think West Rowan. I think they get the win. But any Maurice Atwood coach team is going to be dangerous. Like that's what it is. Like anytime that Atwood is at the helm of a program, he's building something. Okay. And I think that they roll through Ashbrook. I mean, that's not to be dismissive to Ashbrook, but just I don't think they have I think Ryan said it perfectly. I think that they are built for the dual team tournament. I don't think they have a shot at the individual tournament in 3A. But the dual, like this is their time. So that kind of scares me for that like semifinals match because, I feel like they got to know that, like, you're looking around and no one's ranked in the top 3, top 4. Like none of them are really state finals contenders. But man, they're a good dual team. They don't give up 6 a lot. They go up, they get the job done. So that's going to be tough. And whoever wins this Pisgah West Rowan duel is going to be on a huge adrenaline high. Like that's going to be a really fun environment. I really feel like the nation, I feel like Pisgah is going to travel well. I feel like they're going to like their home duels are they're really building something special up there in Canton. They're really trying to buy into that program, make it really important for the kids. I think they're going to travel for this duel really well, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The biggest thing that I worry about is whoever comes out of that Pisgah West Rowan duel. I worry about them being up here and crashing from that adrenaline from winning a big duel like that, and Eastern Guilford capitalizing. And
it's
I
a
really
legitimate
think,
concern, I think.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I think that West Rowan gets it done. I think that either one of them, whoever comes out of that, I think they make it to the finals. You know, I do love that Pisgah program, but I think that it's just West Rowan's year.
All right. So from somebody who follows the Southeast, you know, and not North Carolina to the degree that you guys do, we moved to the East, and I'll tell you what, Union Pines is absolutely impressive. They are impressive. They went to the Beast of the East. They've gone lots of different places. Talk to me a little bit about the East and Union Pines specifically, Rhett, and do you think anybody will knock them off as they make a run?
So Union Pines is basically like the Ivan Drago of North Carolina, right? Okay. They're just a machine built to just hurt people. All right. No, I don't think that
Is there a Rocky Balboa in the bracket?
not in the East. Not in the East. I think in the West, I think either Pisgah or West Rowan could come out there and give them a little bit of Italian stallion, action, but I don't think anybody from the East. I mean, I think Croatan's going to be a poor sacrificial lamb. I think that Union Pine's is going to come out and blank them to be like, I think that's just how good Union Pines is right now. That addition to Dominic of Dom Blue heading to Union Pines this year was the final. They just that is. I really think Union Pines could go down as one of the best dual teams in North Carolina after this season. In North Carolina history, they are that good.
All right, so let's transition to Ryan for the response, because you just gave a face and a shake of the head, and I want to know: do you think somebody's knocking you off Union Pines, or you just don't think it's as dominant as what Rhett just said?
I just can't believe our man Rhett Hoy said blank Croatan. Rhett Hoy, come on. You giving me a hard time about being dismissive earlier. Trinity rolling. I mean, come on, dude. Croatan, if you look back, they had a 12-year stretch where they were the team, right? They were running state duels and winning state titles year after year. And no, they're not that team anymore, but
no,
dang, right. they still got studs in there, right? Gavin Cohen at 144. They got Cameron Sanchez in. They got some studs in there too. So they're not going to get blanked. Now, do they have a chance to beat Union Pines? No. Will it be competitive? Probably not. But get blanked, that was blasphemy, my friend. That's going to the top 5 worst Rhett Hoy takes of all time.
I really just love any time that there's a team out near the Outer Banks that I can just kind of, because Ryan's just gone. He's gone, and that's it. And you saw it, dude.
That Croatan beat First Flight. They consistently have done that in the duels over the past decade and a half.
There's another connection to First Flight bias, but it's okay.
Thorn in the First Flight side. Listen, when I was in high school, they beat us 3 years in a row in the state duels. Here they are again doing it, and I said that on the show. If they're being First Flight, who I obviously think highly of, I know First Flight bias, First Flight till the wheels falls. They're not going to get blanked here by Union Pines. They're not going to be competitive. And you said earlier, you're going to throw Avery as the #1 dual team. This is the team to me. I know I'm picking Pisgah to win the whole thing, right? I'm picking against Union Pines, which is probably maybe top 5 dumbest takes of my podcasting career, right? But and maybe it's the stubbornness in me that I'm like, you know what? I picked Pisgah in the beginning. I'm not wavering now. But Union Pines with Dominic Blue and all their stuff, it's the same reasons why I picked Avery. I should be applying similar logic. But Union Pines is gonna roll, but they're not gonna blank Croatan. It's gonna be some points in there, but
All right.
they're a cut above right now for
Sorry,
sure.
I knew that was going to rile him up a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
I sabotaged this a little bit. I apologize to everyone. I couldn't help it. Okay, I'm sorry.
You know what? Given the opportunity, you got to do a little bit of poking, and you know what? It's only fair that the two of you, if any of you guys have not watched these two go back and forth, it is a laugh riot to watch you guys like give each other some grief as it goes back and forth. Let's move to 4A West, and Ryan, I'm going to start with you. And Davie County put up 153 points to 3 in the first 2 duels. I mean, Hickory Ridge is a really good program, but man, Davie County, and we're not even talking about Huff yet, but I mean, they have looked fantastic thus far. How do you see the West in 4A kind of playing out?
I think it's the Josh Stanley Davie era starts now, right? Like the Rhett and I talked about it right when the coaching change was announced.
Yeah.
We kind of predicted, we were like, oh, in about 3 years, he'll really have that team in title contention. And boy, we were wrong. They're ready now. They're ready now with Hunter Testa and Taj Thao and Caden Glass and Seth Check, all the kids, man. Brent Foster.
That was the first time he's ever said Seth Check correctly.
I know. I was stoked. I was like, yes, it came out correct. But no, they're ready now. They're ready now. They've continually gotten better as the years gone along. We saw them. I saw them at Gate City Grapple. They won that, and they've gotten better since then. So I think it's now, the time is now. We're about to see the Josh Stanley Davie era of 4A begin.
All right. So Rhett, I'm going to transition to you, and I'm going to ask you, what were you surprised about what happened? Was there anything that surprised you about what happened in the West in 4A?
How good Grimsley is right now. Grimsley shocked me. I thought that Mooresville was kind of snubbed with the seed that they got. And Grimsley came out and said, no, like, we deserve this. Beating Glenn 66-6, and then coming out and beating Mooresville 40-28. Now, I mean, it's not Mooresville that's a complete, really, it's not a strong year for Mooresville right now. I think they're kind of in that rebuilding period a little bit. But man, Grimsley came out and wrestled tough and really proved that, hey, we're here to compete. But you got to give a big shout out here to Huff and to Coach Trip Rogers, right? Also, just to every Huff wrestler that has tagged Ryan and, tagged Carolina Takedown Talk, but just really pointing at Ryan here for his take of, just completely dismissing the Huskies, but we won't talk about that too much, all right? Well, I did say that Trip Rogers would beat him up. So Trip, if you need me to hold him down, I got you. All right. Just saying.
So I will say, I was at Super 32 and Coach Rogers came up to me and I asked him about 4A, and especially specifically 4A West. He's like, we're the team to beat. Nobody knows it yet, but we're the team to beat.
But you know what? One thing I love about Coach Rogers, that I absolutely love about Trip Rogers, is like, yeah, he'll say that, but you ask him that next year, he believes in every single one of his kids in that exact same fashion.
Yes, he does.
It does not matter if his kid's going to wrestle Cam Stinson or Cage Williams. You come up to Trip Rogers and that Huff staff, and they just it's their persona, right? It's what their program is built off of. We're the best ones walking into this gym, and we know it. And they may not be, but each kid is going to step on the mat. Exactly. And, you go back and you watch Brant Fagerman, you go back and you watch, or Jackson Raleigh now, you go back and you watch Rich Trainer, right? Just these solid kids that have come through this program, and they all have that belief. And it comes from, I really believe it comes from Trip Rogers of, we're the team to beat. I don't care about anybody else. I don't care about what Laney's doing. I don't care about what Davie County is doing. Huff, the Huff Huskies, we're the team to beat. And it is, it's not just some coaches kind of they talk that talk a little bit, but man, Tripp believes it. And I just love it. He's one of my favorite coaches in, in the whole state. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. Like, he's just hilarious because he's one of the quietest people you'll ever meet, which is completely opposite of Ryan and I, but he's just he's a silent killer. He'll sit in the back of the room and just kind of watch everything happen. And if you're lucky enough to stand by him, he'll say something. And you go, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And he's just standing there, just stone cold.
All right. So my question to you, Rhett, is: does Huff have it? Do they have it to be able to make a run?
I think they beat Grimsley. But Davie County, it is the Josh Stanley era.
Okay.
You ask Tripp Rogers, and this is probably going to be clipped. This is probably going to show up Thursday morning, and every Huff kid is going to be tagging me. And
It's his turn. It's his turn.
Yep. Tripp's going to be giving them my personal phone number, and he's going to be like, here you go, boys. And I know that I'm going to get a text about this from Tripp because the last time I texted him, like, listen, that story you put out of Ryan was my favorite thing in the whole world. Just made my day. And he goes, just because I'm quiet doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. So I know that he's watching, he's lurking in the shadows. And I'm sorry, Tripp. I love you, man. But Davie County is something different this year.
All right, I'm gonna get you off the hook here, and we're gonna move over to 4A East, where Rhett, I'm gonna start.
I don't think that helps me getting off the hook.
Well, I'm just gonna say, I didn't understand the seat. I mean, Hope County at 11, like Gibbons at 12. I mean, look, I haven't followed it as closely as everybody else, but I know Cedric Griffin Jr. Like, I know kids' names on each of those teams. Liam Hickey, so on and so forth. And I know that's not a dual team, but those two teams are super, super good. You're not surprised that they're where they are right now, are you?
Absolutely not. They have, the ones that I feel bad for are teams like Millbrook, who they earned the 6th seed, and great job. Like, you're really building something special there. Here's Hope County, first round. Like, it's one of those
that's tough, right?
Yeah, man. That's just the tough ones for me and DH Conley. You're in the 5 seed, but here comes Gash on the boys from Cardinal Gibbons. Good luck. Here's Liam Hickey, first round.
All right. So is Laney still the team to beat in the East?
Lumberton looks pretty good.
Okay. And they're at home.
But Lumberton's got their hands full with Hope County.
They do.
That first round. And Hope County is a team that do not sleep on them. I think Pinecrest learned that the hard way. Do not sleep on Hope County right now. But I feel like Andre would just drive from Wilmington up here to Hendersonville, North Carolina, and beat me up, and would smile the whole time and look like a GQ model doing it the whole time if I picked Laney. So I can't. So I feel like I should just pick Cardinal Gibbons to win the whole thing Wednesday, because then Laney's going to win it all and prove me wrong again, because that's just what they love to do.
All right.
Any chance Laney has to make me look like an idiot, they have done it.
It's not hard, though. I mean, come on now. No, I'm just kidding. Sit down. All right, Ryan. Let's pivot to your take on the East, which honestly, I've watched Hope County wrestle. Lumberton, like Rhett said, is a super, super good team. This is actually a really, really good quad right here.
Yeah, it's a great quad. It's got kind of the pastime superpowers with Laney, Cardinal Gibbons, and Lumberton. Hope County, who's kind of been lurking in the shadows the past couple of years and finally starting to put it together with some of their studs like CJ Griffith and Jalen Bethea. Mm-hmm. So it's got a good mixture of kind of the superpowers with some of the new up and coming programs. And I feel like that Hope County Lumberton duel is going to be a lot of fun. Same conference. So they're familiar with each other. The kids probably train together a little bit as well. So it's going to be a little added spice in that one. I think Hope County's dangerous. I think Lumberton's kind of got a little extra oomph to their lineup as far as solid kids up and down. Laney's been quiet this year. I don't feel like people have been talking about them as much. Their lineup hasn't been
right.
Yeah, their lineup's been kind of a couple kids out this tournament, a couple kids out this duel. Haven't put it together until now, and they're kind of clicking on all cylinders at the right time, especially in the middle of their lineup with Bonacore, Wysong, and Kodo, kind of right there. Those three. Aiden Arrington down low is having a really nice year. Solid kid, going to be a state qualifier probably. Not sure about placer, but solid. Gives them some kids down that can score points. I think, man, I picked against Laney too many times, and then made me look silly to not favor Laney coming out of this quad. I just feel like they know how to get it done at the right time of year. I kind of mentioned it with Bun and experience thing, and Laney's kind of an even more picture of that. With they've really gotten it done, even when people have been doubting them, especially us. So
yeah,
can't pick against Laney right now.
All right, so we're gonna finish this up with just the last couple of questions. Ryan, if there is one lock, absolute lock, out of all four classifications, who is the lock?
To win the whole thing, or to win the whole thing?
The lock. Like I can put my money down today that what you're gonna say next is 100% true.
Davey's gonna win 4A. Book it.
That is the lock. All right, you heard it. Rhett,
book it.
What is the lock for you?
Avery County. All in on red.
All right. So that's the lock for you. What is the surprise for you, Rhett? What is something nobody's talking about that is rolling around in that big brain of yours in the back that everybody's going, wow, Rhett is freaking Nostradamus. I didn't realize he had that in him to be able to pull out that unusual take.
Anyone is gonna ever say that about me. Okay, let's just go ahead and roll with that one here. Okay, man, just the more that I look at this, the more that and after talking about it with Ryan and you today, I really think that Eastern Guilford could shock us and come out 3A West.
All right.
That it worries me having that Pisgah West Rowan duel first with Eastern Guilford wrestling Ashbrook. And then
waiting on them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan, what's the take that nobody's expecting from you?
Well, there's one take that I've been on all year, and that's picking Pisgah. I don't think anybody but me is picking Pisgah. I think it's me and the nation with them and no one else. Man, I think the one take is I think Bun over Washington. Bun over Washington. I think most people lean toward logic, and Washington's been the better team. I think they even have a win over Bun this year. And I think that experience is going to matter, and their Bun's going to get it done.
All right. So the last word about the entire tournament, if you were sitting in the stands next to me and you were pointing down to a match that you want to see, like coming up, Ryan, what is one match that you want to see happen?
One individual match?
One individual match, one duel. I'll let you pick between the two of them.
I think everyone should pack and go watch that Avery Robbinsville semifinal.
Okay.
That's going to happen. The atmosphere is going to be crazy.
It always is.
Yeah, it always is. It's community-based programs. They're small schools, and both of them have the community bought into their programs to where tons of people are going to be there. I don't think you get anything more electric than that. I said it before, just it's even more electric than the state duel finals. So if you're going to watch that one, if you're going to watch one duel, go to that one. Individual matchup, I really hope, and this is not a weight thing, so maybe we'll get the bump. I want to see Kane Bryson wrestle Andrew Taylor from West Rowan. Andrew Taylor is a super stud freshman for West Rowan at 126. Kane Bryson recently dropped to 120, but is wrestling 26 all year long. I'm not sure if we'll get it because Pisgah's going to probably need Bryson's points at 120, but it's one match that I would love to see.
All right, Rhett.
All right, so if I'm telling you to go to a quad, okay, that you can't miss this one.
I want to see this duel. Like, I'm from out of state. I've got to see one duel. What is that duel I've got to see?
If we get it, that Huff Davey duel.
Okay.
I really think that Josh Stanley, if you haven't watched him coach before, he coaches with some of the most passion of anyone in the state. That dude is animated, and some people hate him for it, okay? But it is entertaining. All of the duels that he is a part of is going to be entertaining. It means something to them this year. That's just been the big thing you can tell from Davie County and watching them throughout the years, that it means something to them right now, okay? And Trip Rogers makes the semifinals, it's going to mean a lot to him, okay? He's going to want to get the job done. But if I could pick a duel to happen, just any of them, I would love to see Wysong and Hickey go at it. If Wysong's in the lineup.
Are they close enough? Are they
138 and 144?
44? Okay, all right.
Or even Hickey Bonacore in that one.
Hickey Bonacore would be great. I mean but that's kind of one of those that we might see a little bit of gamesmanship there. I feel like of deleting a 6 and maybe just taking a 3 here. I don't know. That's just kind of come down to how the duel's rolling. But man, that would be. I feel like Hickey versus Bonacore or Hickey versus Wysong. Either one of those is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, gentlemen, I use that term loosely. Okay, well, not Ryan, not to you, but to the gorilla down below.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time and giving us an inside look. We have lots of people in Georgia, lots of people all over the place kind of paying attention. North Carolina duels are super fun, some really great programs. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me about the ins and outs and what you're most interested in. And I can't wait to see each of you kind of eat some crow and have to take your medicine from some of these programs. So
100%.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
If I know anything, it's that I know nothing at all, and there's going to be a team that makes me look ridiculous. So,
and that's a perfect way to end this. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And enjoy the duels, man.